My message to ICE agents and to everyone across this city is that everyone will be held to the same standard of the law. If you violate the law, you must be held accountable. And there is sadly a sense that is growing across this country that certain people are allowed to violate that law, whether they be the president or whether they be the agents themselves. And what New Yorkers are looking for is an era of consistency, an era of clarity, an era of conviction. And that is what we will deliver to them. And I am looking forward to having conversations with Mayor Adams and his administration about the work of the transition to ensure that the handover is a seamless one and that it is one that benefits the shared work we all have to deliver for the people who call the city home. I take the issue of anti-Semitism incredibly seriously. And last night in my speech, I spoke about how my city hall will stand steadfast with Jewish New Yorkers in fighting the scourge of anti-Semitism across the city and making that clear in the actions that we deliver on from January 1st. And I look forward to working with Jewish leaders across this city, whether they be elected officials, whether they be rabbis, whether they be community leaders, to deliver on the promise of not just protecting Jewish New Yorkers, but celebrating and cherishing them in this same city. The White House hasn't reached out to congratulate me. I continue to be interested in having a conversation with President Trump on the ways in which we could work together to serve New Yorkers, whether that be delivering on his campaign promises around cost of living or the many issues that New Yorkers have been sharing with me about the drastic impacts that the legislation that President Trump has ushered through Washington will mean for them and their lives. And too often we understand these impacts solely at an individual level, but if we just speak a little bit more about SNAP benefits, these are not just affecting the close to 2 million New Yorkers who are on SNAP, these also affect the grocery stores across our city. There were a number of mom and pop owned grocery stores that spoke to me about the fact that in the Bronx, SNAP revenues make up more than a quarter of all of their revenue. And this has the impact of decimating their ability to keep their doors open. And so I look forward to having those conversations and to making clear that if there is ever anything to be spoken about that could benefit the people of the city, I am ready and willing to speak to anyone about it. But if it is a conversation to come at the expense of those people, then I will fight that idea tooth and nail, because my job is to serve this city. When I speak about Trump-proofing this city, I speak about protecting those with the least from the consequences of a man with the most power in this country. It is in part a reference to the need to ensure that any fight for additional revenue is one that also looks to try and protect those same New Yorkers from these kinds of cuts to the greatest extent that we can. And it's also a commitment to ensure that so many of the storied parts of city government return back to the moments where they were on the front lines of fighting for dignity and civil rights, and I think specifically of our city's law department. This is a law department that, when you think of the seminal civil rights cases of this country, they were there. And yet today it has 200 fewer lawyers than it did before COVID. This is an example of a lack of interest from an administration in ensuring that we are investing in the tools that have been proven to protect those same New Yorkers. And I will not mince my words when it comes to President Trump. I will continue to describe his actions as they are, and I will also always do so while leaving a door open to have that conversation, because it cannot be understood as if it is an argument between two individuals. I am looking to lead this entire city, and everything that I do must be to the benefit of this city, and I look forward to delivering for that same city. Oftentimes, this job is described with the language of burden, responsibility, pressure. And those things are true. But what is lost is opportunity. And that is really what I felt in that moment when this race was called. The opportunity we have to deliver for people who have come to expect so little from the politics of their city. And that is an opportunity that is at the heart of what motivates me each and every day. And I look forward to fulfilling the trust that was put in me by the more than 1 million New Yorkers who voted for our campaign, and also by New Yorkers who've had concerns or skepticism. I don't begrudge them, because they were subject to tens of millions of dollars in attack ads that told them the thing that should keep them up at night was me, when in fact what I've heard from New Yorkers that the thing that keeps them up at night is the cost of rent, of groceries, of childcare. And so I look forward to earning their trust as well, because my vision of success is not that those who are skeptical leave this city, it's that those who are skeptical stay here in this city, and that we build a city that has room for even more to join us. Because this is a city that has to grow, this is a city that has to thrive, and the way that we will do so is by bringing an excellence back into City Hall, where it becomes the expectation, not the exception.